I just realized my mic was off that whole time. Unfortunate. I also just... Okay. Alright, everything should be good. I kind of flubbed the beginning a little bit. Everything should be good now. That was my mistake. I had all the audio channels messed up, but we should be good now. So we got some D1E going here, and it looks like there's been a little bit of trouble with Pikmin management for Maya, and it looks like the setup for Rixoro is giving him a little bit of trouble. Okay, it looks like they both figured out the angle and stuff, so it's going to be about even. Oh, except Rixoro had a red pop out, unfortunate. I also realized my name is not on the commentary thing on the screen because I have it cropped out. Give me 1 second, I'll fix that. Okay. Because normally when I'm restreaming, I have myself at the top and I have it cropped out for the other commentators. But we're flying solo today, so I just got myself on there. Yeah, if there's any audio issues anymore, then please let me know and I'll fix them right away. Interesting camera for Maya. If the volume needs to be adjusted at all, then I can also do that. So there was a little bit of spaghetti at the start of this race, but it ended up being about the same because of the differences in the stream delay. It appears that Rixoro does not know about the Bulborb lure manipulation, but it's not that big of a deal. But the idea is that Bulborbs have to finish their, like, these dwarf Bulborbs, that is, in particular, they have to finish their, like, turning cycle before they can, like, notice that a captain or a Pikmin is near them and start to walk towards them. So the setup is that you want to, for this dwarf in particular, you can wait for it to be looking completely to the right and then deload it immediately and go zoomed in. And then by the time that you get to it, it will be on the perfect cycle to look straight at Olimar and start noticing you. But the way that it ended up working for Rixor, I only lost him maybe like a second on the lure. And then, you know, obviously there was a little spaghetti with collecting it, but, you know, that'll happen. So neither of them went for a gluey skip, which is to be expected, I believe, for players of their skill level. I highly doubt that Rixora would be going for gluey skip, and, you know, Maya, a little more up there in terms of skill level compared to Rixora, but not really at the level where I would expect her to go for it in a race either. Unless she's feeling particularly bold that day. Throwing 2 reds on that pellet is going to lose a little bit of time because the thing preventing you from moving on at the start here on day 4 is actually this first pellet getting in. And if you throw a Pikmin to down the pellet and then C-stick 2 reds in it, it actually picks up faster than if you just throw 2 Pikmin like that. Another little tiny thing is that you can actually C-stick while you're plucking. So Maya probably lost like a little bit of time there from just not having her reds as far forward. Because ideally you want to be long throwing your reds on your way to the bag, at least the first few of them. I think Rixoro only put one red on that first pellet, which is gonna lose even more time than what Maya did, unfortunately. The thing about this section where you're doing egg push now is that oh, she didn't even do egg push, so I guess it doesn't matter. Also, this is a little unfortunate because the 10 pellet didn't get moving yet. Usually the way that we try to avoid that happening is by throwing all our reds to the right of the stem, and for some reason that ensures that they pretty much never get stuck like that. But yeah, if you were doing egg push, then I would say that the way that Maya handled the final two 1 pellets would be incorrect, because basically the thing preventing you at that point from speeding up the 5 pellets and stuff would be you finishing egg push and being back down. So the sooner that you can get that taken care of, then the sooner you can start speeding stuff up. So it wouldn't really be as important in that case than to prioritize those 1 pellets. Because you can always do what Rixora is doing right here and just get it moving after, if it doesn't start right away. Yeah, I wouldn't say any major mistakes so far for either runner. Some minor things so far in the early game. Maya doing the classic no Louis skip of just swapping to Louis after the stuff gets in. Okay, yeah, this is something that we noticed from Rixoro in the last race, which is that the overhead cam is very, very good in Pikmin 2, because it turns out that hitting enemies square on the head is a lot harder in the normal cam. And also it's just generally nice for, like, you know, moving in straight lines and stuff. I mean, with movement stuff, you typically go back and forth between overhead cam and normal cam. Um, but yeah, it's something that gets utilized a lot by good runners. So Maya might end up losing a little bit of time here to the orange coming in second. EC1 is pretty much one of the simplest sub levels in the run, obviously, but you can lose a pretty surprising amount of time just from these little things. Like if you decide to stop and kill dwarves on your way to the farther treasure, then that, you know, is just pretty much raw time loss. And then if you have a situation where the second, like the close treasure gets in second, then that's also losing like a second and a half to the lockout in between the cutscenes, if not more. Rixoro should not have that happen. He might still have that happen because he didn't have all his reds with him to speed up the orange. But Rixoro is also going to be getting a bug on this floor, which, maybe he won't. He might have enough time to leave before it gets in. Oh no, it got in. There must have just been one farther ahead that I didn't see. Maya went out of her way to pluck 9 purples. Which again is not like a super big deal. It's just, you know, one of those things that pretty avoidable a large majority of the time, and it is pretty much just raw time loss because you're doing that plucking while the globe is not moving. Another little thing to note is that the thing limiting you at this point is the globe moving, obviously. But the thing limiting that is that your purples need to grab onto the globe as soon as possible. So what you're seeing Rixoro do is put all his reds on the back so that the purples can all grab the front on his way back up. Whereas if you do what Maya did and have all your reds on the front, then the purples might not have a space available on the front to grab on. And then that would lose a pretty decent amount of time. So I think the lead for Maya stayed in about the same place. Rixoro looks a little further behind, but Rixoro got the bug on EC1, so he's gonna make up about 10 to 12 seconds here just from not having to see that cutscene on the second sublevel. And I wonder if he plucked all his purples on the way in. I think that based on the amount of Pikmin he has on those carries, I think he did pluck all his purples. Which, yeah, like I've already said, is pretty much a raw time loss because the minimum that you need is 7. And then you can, so you could just pluck 7. Well, the minimum you need is 6, but then that means you wouldn't get a bug body, and you'd have to punch both the dwarves, and you'd probably not make it back to the geyser in time. So the functional minimum is 7. But yeah, then that means that the more that you pluck, the more pretty much just raw time loss you're incurring. So this beginning here in Enter Hole Abyss is actually like weirdly critical to the speed of the split, and it's something that Kemi talked a lot to the other top runners about, because Kemi is very good at this split, I would say, relative to the field of runners and relative to her skill level as well. And the idea is that you want to be C-sticking your Pikmin ahead to get them to the gate as fast as possible. Of course, you don't want to have them get C-sticked into shear grubs and stuff, so you would be avoiding that. But the crucial thing is that you can be C-sticking pretty much the whole time until you get to the shear grubs, and you can actually long throw your reds very, very quickly. And then that means that your reds will start attacking the grubs and stuff a lot sooner, and you can cut your movement sooner and go towards the gate very quickly. So what we saw from Maya is a little bit of spaghetti where she kind of didn't long throw some reds, and then she didn't throw her reds very quickly compared to how quickly you can do it. Okay, Rixoro's having a little bit of spaghetti here because he opted to not do any long throwing or anything. And he only left 4 reds there to grow with instead of 6, so that's gonna give him some problems later on. Okay, so Maya, it looks like, did a variation of the Mercy Snow strat where she pushed all her leaves to one side, but still waited for the gate to come down, which I think is net neutral with the regular strat, but it does, in a way, probably make the nectaring a bit easier for her, so, you know. Well, the Rixoro is probably gonna have that one red leaf carrying that farthest pellet come in very late, unless he speeds it up or something. Which he is going to do, luckily. But now I would say, yeah, okay, he's doing the right thing here and just taking these reds to the gate. Because a pretty big limiter on this section right here is getting this first wave of plucked Pikmin to the gate, oddly enough. But it does make sense because you have those Pikmin on the gate for an additional, like, 30 plus seconds compared to these reds. So the sooner that you get the first wave of plucked reds on, the better. Because they will overall contribute a lot more to the overall health of the gate. Obviously, the first wave of Pikmin that you bring at the start of the split being the most important, but the first plucking wave is pretty good. Okay, yeah, Rixoro realizes he needs to be an overhead cam to do this nectaring. It's not a big deal if you don't quite nectar all your Pikmin here because there is nectar on 4 that we always get. Whole Beast 4, that is. It's like being a little particular with this camera here. Unfortunately, he then does not continue to hold C-Stick, so wakes up the mum anyway, but normally the mum's not that big of a problem. Because for some reason around there, the mum tends to not separate your Pikmin from your party. You'd obviously prefer them to not be knocked over at all, because if they become leaves, then that would suck. But, you know. Rixoro better realize that this RNG is bad and that he needs to get Pikmin on here. And it's moving a little slowly because he has some leaves on instead of all flowered reds, because he C-sticked his reds onto the sheer grubs and stuff. And I wonder if he's listening to the commentary while he's doing the race, because he did fix it. But it might also just be one of those things of, like, you know, it's a pretty classic Pikmin 2 thing where, like, you make a misplay halfway through a floor and then you realize it, like, later on and have to fix it. But yeah, that's a pretty big thing that separates the best runners, is they realize the mistake either immediately or they realize it, like, before they make the mistake even. Which is really hard to do and requires a lot of game sense. So I think most of the top runners have changed opinion on this whole Beast 4 to be about the same as each other. Or at least whole Beast 4s that look similar to this. So the idea is that when the Bulborb is in the spawn room and the card is in the candy cane room, the card is going to take way longer to get in than anything in this main room. So what people have started doing recently is throwing 3 reds to the side and dismissing, and then going straight to the card immediately with the first captain. As opposed to what Maya did, where she sort of did the combat first and then let her purples sort of deal with that, and then kind of booked it to the card after. But yeah, most runners nowadays are pretty much in agreement that you should do card first on those layouts. Maya doing the safe Empress strat. A good like 70% damage, which is pretty alright. You can get upwards of like 90% damage if you're like really on top of things with the safe strat, but at the end of the day it doesn't really matter that much because, yeah, all that it would be avoiding potentially is that extra little shake that Empress did before she died. And it's not that big of a deal. Like, you'd much rather, like if that happens when you go for the safe strat, it's not really that big of a deal. It's more like a little tiny optimization that could happen. It's much more important that you get it in only one roll cycle, if anything. Okay, so it looks like Rixoro will be doing the same combat strat. He got a stun on that, which kind of saved the fact that the combat was a little scuffed. Those purples should be fine to not go through that fire. So I'm not quite sure why we're dealing with this fire though, because you always put only reds on this card, so it wouldn't have made a difference. So it was pretty much just time lost to deal with that fire. And he does know where the Metites are, which is good. It means Rixoro has done his homework. Maya opting to do this without dismissing, which is pretty interesting. In my opinion, dismissing is pretty much just better because you do have to re-whistle the Pikmin, but it does mean that your throwing gets to be a lot faster because you can just like spam your throws without worrying when you only have purples in your party. So this floor also looks really, really easy on paper, but it's actually kind of easy to lose like a second maybe on this floor. Because you can start C-sticking your Pikmin forward pretty much as soon as everyone's past this first set of shear grubs. Because, you know, similar thing to earlier in the run, you don't want to C-stick your Pikmin too early and have them latch on the shear grubs. Rixoro had a little bit of trouble here. Ooh, that almost still worked. In one cycle. He unfortunately didn't get enough damage on the first cycle. Okay, thankfully he was, he did know that you have to wait for Empress to get back to the middle here. Because if you kill Empress on the side, then the only waypoints on this floor are in the middle of the room. So the treasure will path sideways and go into the middle of the room and then start going in a straight line towards the ship. And you want to avoid that happening, so Rixoro waited until Empress had fully stopped in the middle. Unfortunately, that Blowhog body is not going to collect. There is a strat you can do if you have like your whole squad with you, where you C-stick Pikmin into the Blowhog as it like does its little like charging its fire attack thing. And if you get enough Pikmin latched on in the right way, then they'll kill it before it shakes. And ideally without setting any Pikmin on fire either, but that one was close enough to the other treasure that I think you probably could have gotten away with it even if you did light some purples on fire. But the idea is that if you do it how Maya tried to do it, where you just like, you know, throw purples at it on the way out, then it's not going to collect in time. And if you're not collecting it, then killing it's pretty much useless. It's not detrimental the way that she did it. Like, she didn't lose time from killing it. It's just that, you know, you'd rather collect it if it's there. Oh, and Rixoro, I guess, activating the blue onion cutscene? Not really necessary to do that. Like, it could make early blues a little bit more comfortable, but with the setups that should be taught in the modern age, it's not really necessary to activate that cutscene beforehand. So most runners at the higher levels are pretty much by this point used to doing it with the cutscene. Like, it would probably feel weird to do it without the cutscene by this point. Rixoro opting to do all this combat up front, which is not ideal because, for one, he got to the treasure way later, and for two, he doesn't have all reds on this treasure. And for third, he decided to throw reds on the treasure afterwards, which is slower than C-sticking Pikmin on. So yeah, not quite ideal here for Rixoro on this White Fire Garden one. Oh, this could be good RNG. I didn't see where the chapstick was on this 4. Okay, on top of the stump. That's not ideal, but it's not bad RNG because it's only one room away from the spawn room. Oh, that just, yeah, she's gonna have to whistle and redismiss or try to C-stick on again. The problem there is that the whites were too spread out, and so when you dismiss Pikmin in this game, the thing that they try to do is they try to pick a point that is X amount of distance away from your captains, and a certain amount of distance away from any other Pikmin color's choice of dismiss locations as well, so that everyone sort of tries to spread out equally. But the problem when you're doing it on like sloped terrain and stuff like that is that sometimes they pick a point that's like inside the ground or a wall, and they end up just sort of like standing there doing nothing. Like, they're in a weird state where they're idle, but they won't start like latching on to tasks or enemies or something. So yeah, the problem with what Maya did is that she dismissed her whites, but they were spread out in such a way that the dismiss location they chose was probably like inside the floor. Because it doesn't really take vertical distance into account when the Pikmin choose their locations to dismiss. So the point that it chose was probably somewhere on Olimar's height, but around the X and Z coordinates where they ended up being dismissed. And in my opinion, the way to fix that mistake probably would have been to just whistle and spam dismiss again, so that they dismiss like individually, hopefully, and not as a group. It also didn't help that when you're trying to like C-stick Pikmin up around that slope, it's like on BK2. But the issue is that Maya only had her whites in her party, so some of the whites stayed closer to her and didn't wrap around, so that's probably part of what made that dismiss function like that and get the whites stuck in place. Okay, so if both runners are smart and recognize they're in a race, then they should save after White Fire Garden 5. Oh, Maya didn't save. That might be a little unfortunate. Oh, Rixoro didn't get all his whites off the tape. Okay, he's gonna go fix it now. It's fine. So there's plenty of faster ways of doing this setup here with the Pikmin for this knapsack. Maya whistled a bunch of whites there. Okay, this is gonna be a problem. Yeah, because all her whites are drowning now in the water. The problem is that those whites stay with you until this point, and there's water to the left of where you do the knapsack. So those whites stayed with Olimar and tracked Olimar and are now drowning, and she's having a lot of deaths. Ooh, and that's unfortunate. Because she didn't save on White Fire Garden 5, so now she has to do the whole floor over again, and all of a sudden the lead has evaporated by about, like, 2 minutes. Like 2 minutes 15 or something like that. Maya also will no longer have load minute, which is going to lose a handful of time on sub-level loads and onion menus and things like that. So Rixoro is basically just a whole White Fire Garden 4 behind now, instead of being behind by like 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so he must have also seen the treasure on the come down, because he's going the right way. Oh, and he gets all but one white around there. And C sticks into it instead of dismissing, so that went a lot more cleanly for Rixoro than it did for Maya. This glove load, both times that Maya played this floor, has been giving her a bit of trouble. So if there's another big mistake from Maya, then Rixoro could be right back in this race. Because right now it's only like a minute of difference between the two runners. Rixoro going after the eggs, even though he has no leaves, which is interesting. Oh, he didn't start throwing fast enough, so he's gonna have some deaths here. Maya deciding to save this time is good. Rixoro got the slow get up, but wasn't ready, so he had to wait for the full get up before throwing Pikmin. So we only had 3 deaths there. Could have been worse if he didn't get that cycle done in time. Yeah, this knapsack positioning from Maya is a little questionable the first time, so she's probably going to take a little more time to set it up this time. She's a lot more to the right compared to where we normally expect to be. Okay, but it still works. This time she does not have a bunch of extra Pikmin in her party. Okay, she took that rock movement a little better this time. So the issue with that rock is that the ledge out of bounds is really particular until you're past the rock. So what I've sort of developed to do, and what I imagine every other runner does as well, but I can't really speak as much for their setups because it's kind of feel-based getting around there. But the thing, in my opinion, that's good to do is that you get past the little, like, front edge of the rock, and then you end up inside the rock, and then you have to go left a little bit to make sure that you don't fall off to the right by the time you try to get past the back end of the rock. And that's exactly what Maya did on that setup. So basically you have like a straight angle going into the rock, and then you curve left a tiny amount when you're inside, and then curve back to the right before you leave. So that way that you're still on like the inner part of the out of bounds ledge, but you don't like walk off the right side. Looks like Maya got a little bit of extra blues here from the wog poles. Oh, Rixoro didn't throw that red far enough. That must have not been a long throw. Also, there's people doing yard work right outside, and I have my window open, so if anyone can hear that, please let me know, and I'll fix it so that nobody else has to hear it. Okay, Rixoro being a little particular and stopping and starting in here, which, in my opinion, I don't really ever think that... I mean, obviously when you're new, it's a little different. You're just trying to not fail it. But I find that it's a lot easier when you get to the point where you've practiced the trick enough that you can just kind of do that section in pretty fluid movement. So there's a few like steps to that out of bounds movement, right? Like you clip into the scale, and then step one is you need to clip out of bounds at the edge of the scale. So you do that, and then step two is you need to orient yourself so that you can move after you're out of bounds correctly. And then from there, I think, well, once you have your camera set up, once you're out of bounds, I think all of that movement until you get to the early blues spot where you're actually like doing the knapsack to do early blues, I think all of that should be fluid motion in an ideal world, and then it becomes a lot easier, in my opinion. Because part of the issue when you're newer is that you're trying so hard to not fail the trick that you're like starting and stopping and stuff, and your exact positioning is getting a little suspect. Okay, this pretty classic bad SH2 here. Maya doing the correct thing and ignoring the mum. Getting these shear grubs, though, in my opinion, is pretty much the correct decision because they will collect before the strawberry gets in. She does a white on that mum, which isn't really a big deal. Yeah, this is fine. Not very particular at first about the C-sticking, but corrects it. Oh, I see. A bunch of Pikmin got latched onto the mum on accident, which is why it was awkward. There's a lot of whites not on that strawberry. Oh, I would have probably corrected that because it has a long way to go to get back. It's also getting slowed down even further by that mum eating a Pikmin off. See, if I were Maya, I would be moving over there with these whites with the low-down camera and trying to put them on, because those purples that are left in the path are going to grab on. So if the strawberry is going to stop for Pikmin to grab on at all, you'd rather it be whites. If possible. I mean, obviously the decision that I think is more objectively correct. Well, it's a bit of an issue that she didn't do a better job of getting a good carry to begin with. But assuming mistake number one, then I think ideal correction number one should have been putting the whites on before the water crossing, like the spare whites. But then assuming mistake number two, then correction number two probably was that she could have put those whites on that she plucked at base. Rixoro here on this SH1 kind of... He must have just kind of like forgot the strat because you really what you want to do is just run straight into where the Bulborb is and start luring it immediately, but Rixoro chose to do some of the shear grubs beforehand and get them carried back for bug bodies, which is not ideal because you can do all of that after it dies. After the Bulborb dies, that is. Looks like both runners splitting at spawn and leaving some reds, which is good. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a hard read here for Maya because the marble is going to be masking a lot of the gauge here. This is getting really scary because she's not doing any of this combat, but she's still like hanging around in this area. And now that marble is going to get stopped, she's running away from it even though she was looking right at that. Okay. It didn't get stopped, but a lot of the Pikmin got off of it, and she had to come back and fix it. She's checked this area to the right like several times now, and it's just not there. So checking is something that, like, I mean, obviously, like, when you don't know where something is, you gotta check where it is, right? I mean, we all acknowledge that in an ideal world, that then you would just know where everything is and not have to check for it. But, you know, obviously that's not really going to be the case in every run. So the philosophy on checking should be that, like, okay, checking is sort of a necessary thing in the run, but even though something is a necessary thing in the run, that doesn't mean it has to be a slow thing that you do. You can still do it in a way that is losing as little time as possible. So what I would have liked to have seen from Maya in this case is that you can check spawn points, and that's perfectly fine, but I think you need to check things like once and be done with it, and be assured that the thing you're looking for isn't there. Instead of doing what Maya did, where she sort of like back and forth a few times in that middle room checking the same spawn points. Okay, Rixoro is pulling. Okay, well, the strawberry isn't moving that fast. In an ideal world, that would have been moving a lot faster, and then what I was about to say would have made way more sense. But the thing that you always have to do here is keep... Oh, he's getting sushi? Interesting. Sorry, the jelly donut. This is good RNG here on this 5 as well, but Maya left a bunch of Pikmin over here, which is not good. So now this is gonna lose a little time. But yes, completely forgot. Oh yeah, you have to keep this strawberry on camera as it passes the water, because otherwise you're gonna have a whole host of problems, because for some reason the geometry of that like bridge section is really weird when the strawberry passes over it, and Pikmin like to fall off the strawberry. And that's bad for one thing, because, you know, Pikmin aren't carrying the strawberry anymore. But those Pikmin tend to fall into the water fairly often and just die, and it's unfortunate when that happens because it's pretty much completely preventable by just keeping it on screen. Very rarely, it can also just completely get stopped, which is like the worst case scenario. Okay, Maya needed to throw those reds further to the side. I would have just... Okay, I would have just dismissed your whites on the poison and then thrown in the flower if you're committing this hard to getting whites. Ooh, immediate lens. Okay, this floor has been a bit of spaghetti for Maya, to say the least. I also didn't see if the hole is gated. I'm assuming it is if she's bringing her Pikmin with her to the hole. Yeah, it's gated. Which means that throwing, like, if you know that this is gated, then throwing your reds in beforehand is even better, because now you're going to have dead time here where you're plucking and nothing else is happening. Because now the gate's already done. Whereas if you had your reds in before, you would have finished plucking right as the gate came down. Also, I think we got a double wiener to this run, which is funny. Okay, Rixoro unfortunately making the cardinal sin of Pikmin 2 checking, which is that he took his whole squad a way that has no treasures or anything. Maya got incredibly bailed on that Pileated because she missed the one cycle, but Pileated didn't go back underground somehow. Oh, that's gonna probably be a reset for Rixoro, yeah. The Pikmin got thrown off right in the path of that boulder. But yeah, normally if you get the one cycle, Pileated eats those Pikmin and then is just dead after that. But Maya did not do enough damage, but she got bailed because for some reason it just didn't go back underground. I don't know how you get that much damage and avoid it going back underground without getting the one cycle, but she found a way, I guess. But yeah, unfortunately, Rixoro, the first time he did this SH4, made the cardinal mistake of checking a way that had nothing that he needed first and taking his whole squad there. And he's doing it again, even though he knows it's the exact same layout that he got earlier. And the problem with this is that if he went and checked this way first, even if the beetle that had the magnet were the other way, he would have at least been productive while he was searching these spawn points in here for it. Because like even if you accomplish nothing by searching in here, if the magnet weren't in here, then you would have at least had the marble moving. He still doesn't have the marble moving, even though it's right here. If you put one purple on that marble, it will start moving a pretty significant distance by the time you're done with this cutscene, or with this combat, rather. That could have been really scary if that boulder killed purples. I don't think it could have killed purples unless the purples were, like, not latched on. Oh, he had a floating beetle as well. That magnet is moving very slowly because it has not many whites on, if any. Okay, Maya unfortunately having some issues with these pellets because none of them dropped off the pot. So that's kind of unfortunate. Now they're all moving. If she keeps them on camera, then it'll be fine. And you can do that while you're growing, or not growing, while you're on your way to cask, rather. Rixoro is playing it kind of dangerous because he's getting this cherry, which is a very bad cherry to be getting. But he also could have gotten cutscened and lost a bunch of Pikmin. I guess he had the magnet moving slow enough that he would never have gotten cutscened, though. Yeah. But yeah, that cherry is really bad because it was very far away from the other two treasures and behind an electric gate. Ooh, yeah. Am I having a bit of a difficulty here? Because now she's going to be getting cutscened a little bit. And it's also kind of annoying because the longer that this part here takes, the less time you have to grow blues before you start losing time. She might end up going all the way up the ledge past BK, which would suck. Okay, no, she got stuck. Thankfully. Okay, finally gets the cask moving. It probably will not get in time unless she speeds it up. Oh, the globe is a little behind. Interesting. I would have expected the globe to be a lot further ahead based on the amount of whites that Maya had. Okay, Rixoro taking a little bit too long to deal with these carries and stuff. Okay, and finds the marble, which was right next to the whistle, which is good. Okay, so Rixoro's pause to look for the hole. I mean, we say that you could, in theory, just know where the hole is without having to pause and not have the treasures be moving while you're looking, right? But, you know, obviously there's going to be times where you gotta just, you know, pause, figure out where it is, because you don't have no idea. But the thing that Rixoro could have done better with his pause, though, is that, like, you know, you're losing time the whole time that you're paused, right? So, like, it's a minimum of, like, 2 seconds, plus however much longer you're spending in the menu. But you can move the map around while you're paused, and then you can search more area of the floor more quickly, because you can be zooming out and moving the map around at the same time, rather than just doing what Rixoro did and just zooming out. Okay, he's gonna run straight ahead. There is lens here. Does he know that it is good to get that lens? The hole is also gated, which is a problem. So he kind of just risked it all on that and got punished for it. That body will not get in with just one leaf purple on it. I guess he might try and kill this Snagret, but I would say that that is a mistake. Yeah, he doesn't know about just C-sticking your Pikmin straight through that poison, so he had to just deal with it. So both runners do get lens. That is pretty much an unmissable lens in the context of how we play the floor. So yeah, Maya did expand the lead by quite a bit, because the lead was only about a minute or so exiting White Flower Garden, and now it is upwards of like 5-6 minutes or something. Probably closer to like 5 minutes. Maya took a long time getting those whites up there, and is gonna get cutscened by the fire cutscene. Okay, Rixoro just kind of ran straight into Pillated without like setting up his squad or anything, and is going to be punished for it. With all these leaves and a 2-cycle. Maya's treasure got completely stopped, which is not something you like to see. Pretty much the cardinal sin of BK2 is having the diamond get completely stopped. Okay, Rixoro having a bit of a journey with this Pillated fight. It still didn't even die because he didn't get enough Pikmin on the head before that. Okay, now it's dead. He should try to Nectar here, but he may not know about that strat. Because it's not something that we do every run. There may not even be an egg available that isn't gated. And the geyser's not gated, so that treasure probably needs sped up a little bit, but it's fine. Okay, Maya's playing with fire a little bit with these anodes, but probably won't be a big deal. Maybe it might now be a big deal, because now the Wollywog is in the way. A few deaths happening. About to be more deaths, potentially. Ooh, that is not good. If that anode doesn't flip, then that's probably going to be a reset for Maya. Yep. Maya took it way too aggressive with these anodes and didn't bother flipping them well enough, so got pretty much immediately punished for it. Rixoro has a lot of blues, which is interesting. That said 23 blues, that's a lot. Not putting blues on those dwarfs, though. I mean, he can do it later, I guess. Like, in theory, it's just better to do it this way, but the problem now is that you need to spend time making sure all the blues go, or that the dwarf bodies go to the blue onion. That white is going to be dead if Maya doesn't do anything about that. Okay, it might have latched on. Oh, no, it's dead. Maya, again, probably not taking very good precautionary measures on this BK4. This is a 4 that has killed many, many runs in the past. Ooh, still almost paid the price for it. Rixoro did not move all these bodies yet, which might be a little bit of a problem. The fact that he has so few Pikmin may also be a problem for the globe. Triple blue pellet, though. One goes in the water, unfortunately. Oh, he's trying to save it. I don't think that's... Even if this works, I don't think it's worth doing. I don't think it is gonna go through the bridge like this. Yeah, you kind of just have to say -5 blues from that pellet, unfortunately. Because you got 2 other pellets that were blue. So it should just be fine. Okay, we got BK6 here for Maya. Does in fact use her eyes and go the correct direction. Yeah, Rixoro kind of needs to fix that because we kind of need those 12 blues. Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, the whole time here, he's not going and getting cask, which is a problem. Maya's spending a lot of time here getting bugs. And not really a lot of time getting the skull moving, which is very important. And now she has no purples for this. Has to do a lure here. Which may not even work, because the Pikmin might still be keeping it loaded. Okay, egg is good. I got some flowered blues here. Okay, distracting this with Olimar is good. Oh, and now the Bulborb is going back towards where Louie is. She might start having problems and deaths. Yep. Unfortunately, Rixoro getting a little bodied on this enter BK, which is probably just going to happen when you're relatively new. Okay, so the thing that Rixoro is doing is he's letting go of the stick when he does the knapsack, and it means that he's sliding all the way down that slope. Because the thing is that that little, like, U-shaped thing where we do the knapsack is a slope. And you need to be holding up into it pretty much the whole time, up until the part where your captain lies down. Because otherwise you'll go too far down and then it's pain, and then it won't work. Okay, this should work. Okay, well, the other problem is that you need to be in a particular orientation because Olimar's hitbox makes a difference with this. Okay, Maya could have probably just spammed her Pikmin there and made that without waiting. Oh, she doesn't whistle like one white, so that could have been a lot more whites that came down with her for that knapsack. Oh, and she dismissed Louie all the way over there, so now she has to go all the way up here to get her Pikmin to start this carry on the body. That's why you should keep Louie in your party until you dismiss after the gate, because then Louie will be right next to all your Pikmin, and then you can whistle them straight away. Okay, Rixoro finally makes it up here. If he gets this knapsack quickly, then he might barely have enough time. But unfortunately, he knapsacked too far up. This one might be too far down. Yeah. So there's a little brown line that he's knapsacking around. I say little, but it's a very big brown line. And you sort of want to be past that, but not that far, and then you'll get it. Yeah, this is good. Now he gets it. But now he has to go... Okay, the purple's also not on it. Okay, yeah. Oh, he doesn't have enough time in the day. If he gets it down from the ledge, then at least he won't have to, like, do the harder variant. He's gonna leave those Pikmin behind if he doesn't do something about that, though. He also doesn't have enough time to get into BK. Yeah, unfortunately that above ground took just barely too long. I would have just let the day end on its own, because it was 0 left on the clock. Unfortunately, Rixoro falling even further behind as a result of the enter BK troubles. So assuming that Maya doesn't completely, like, destroy herself, this should be a pretty commanding victory. But, I mean, we can still talk about the gameplay differences, because Rixoro, I'm assuming, will probably still have some interest in Pikmin 2 beyond the tournament, and giving some advice on the plays could still help him in the future. So, you know, it's always good. When you're new, the best thing is when you can get a good runner, like, directly giving feedback on your gameplay. He also lost a lot of Pikmin. It must have been an SH. That's not good. Yeah, if I were him, I would Nectar before going in as well. And probably take out some reds, even. Because, like, not only do you want, like, more than 83 Pikmin, ideally, but you can use the reds that you take in to turn into purples and whites if you wanted. That's not even all his Pikmin flowered. Yeah, he's gonna have to do that. Okay, so now he has, like, mostly flowers. Unfortunately, the cask didn't get in either, but he has to do these knapsacks anyway. So it'll probably get in by the time the knapsacks are done. Yeah, he does not need more than one Pikmin up there because he already got cask. He's doing this knapsack and normal cam. Okay, he switches the camera. We got the funky dismiss, yeah, because the white wanted to go into the wall. Okay, so Maya is now in Valley of Repose 2. Let's see how this goes. So she dismisses, like, right at this gate. You actually can dismiss, like, a little further back if you really wanted to, but, no. It's not that great of a difference. It's just notable because the way that we used to do this split is we would go all the way up to the water's edge before dismissing, and that would lose a little bit of time. Because it turns out that if you did that, then you would have to walk all the way back over here as Louis at this point. So yeah, it's just better to leave Louis and the rest of the whites and purples closer to this point. I would not be comfortable with where Maya dismissed there. I mean, it probably still will work out just fine. Normally we just try to dismiss more to the left, because if you don't dismiss your purples far enough up the slope, then they can go back down, and that sucks when that happens. I think she overthrew Pikmin on that plug a little bit, but it's not a big deal. It just means the fossil probably won't be that far ahead. And the worst thing that can happen is the plug not being broken in time and the ring drowning. Okay, if Rixoro is smart, he will try to grow whites here because 15 whites is not good. But if he does that, then that means he'll have less blues for the above ground, which also is not good, which is why I think bringing in reds was the play. Even though, like, in the normal way that we do the route, we only really take in reds because it's slower to put them away for blues. Like, we would rather have all our blues in here and flower them at some point, because then we wouldn't have to do it in Valley of Repose too. But the issue is that we would have to put all our reds away, and that's slower than just the way that we normally do it. But at this point, so like, Rixoro already had to like do extra onion menus because he had to end the day. So but at that point, he probably just said, okay, well, I have to take out a bunch of Pikmin anyway. I'm just going to take out blues instead of reds. But he doesn't have that many Pikmin in total. So I probably would have taken out reds anyway. They're also helpful in here for fire geysers and stuff. Also, he tried to do a bunch of this combat up front again, which is not what we try to do. I mean, I get that it's scary and you don't want, you know, the treasure get stopped by the fire and stuff. He's switching captains in between the Pikmin burning, which is really niche tech that nobody really does. So if you have a bunch of Pikmin in your squad that are on fire and you switch captains, the Pikmin will actually get put out, which is really interesting. I wonder if he was intentionally doing that or if he was just kind of like pressing buttons and panicking because his whole squad was on fire. Okay, SCX-1. If I were Maya, I would probably check Spiral Room. Okay, yeah, there's nothing in here. But the thing is that if you don't, like, it's pretty rare for something to be in there, but if you don't check and it is in there, then it's really, really bad. She's trying to do this a really particular way. The gauge is high, which means that the thing is right here. So, like, conceptually, this is decently urgent, but I would have just killed these things first. Because now the problem is that the table is going to come in too fast, and she's not going to get these bodies. Whereas if you kill both of those things up front, then you will get those bodies, and that's 14 bodies if you collect both of those big bulb orbs. And now she's maybe getting 7 if she waits for it. She could end up getting 0 if she just leaves. Whereas I think, like, in general, it was pretty good. Like, the general, like, thing about urgency is that you want to get the treasure started before doing combat, if possible. But the thing is that it's complicated in pod because you need bugs, and those were pretty free bugs, all things considered. Like, it's pretty rare that you run into bugs as free as those. Like, even if you would have lost like 5 seconds to doing that combat, that's a pretty free 14 bodies that she just didn't get at all. Okay, I probably wouldn't have dealt with this snitch bug first, especially because she didn't even deal with it. She just whiffed. Ooh, this is scary. Really close to all these bombs. Still not dealt with the enemies. There was also a bomb that blew up on the way back. So I'm assuming that the purple she threw on the first Dirigibug killed it and then went over to the bomb. Okay, there she tried to grab a white and was too close to the sprout, which is why that happened. So that's not really I mean, it's technically a skill issue for being like completely critical, but I mean, that's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, that's just kind of like silly rather than like a full skill issue. Doesn't know where the hole is. That's a bit of a problem. All the way over here. This is one of those things where, like, as soon as you recognize that the layout's kind of weird and that the hole might be in a weird spot, I just start, like, completely looking around, looking for where it is, pausing if needed. Like, you never want to be in that situation where you're just wandering around aimlessly and you don't know where the hole is. Going over here first. It's a interesting decision. I would have only done it with all the blues if she noticed, if she was going to do the gear after, because now this is a problem. And now she's bringing all her whites and purples over here, which is a problem. The only way that this is a reasonable play is if she's skipping the combat because of lens. Because this play was just completely incorrect if she was planning to get the combat treasure on this floor. Yeah, Rixoro doing a semi-smart thing because he didn't want to deal with any of that fire in front of this guy at all. Because that was kind of a sticky situation if he just tried to go in there with that. And you can definitely still do it and be fine. It's just gonna be kind of hard, especially like when you're new, you're not gonna be as like mechanically up there, generally speaking. So it was definitely the smart play if you were trying to be safer about it. So yeah, Maya, it turns out, was not planning on skipping the combat, so she just completely fumbled the game plan on this 3. I think what would have been smart on this 3 is you do... I want her to look at the rest of the floor so I can orient myself with where everything was. I think what you can do is put some blues on that spring and then do combat with the same captain and then take a captain to the gear. I definitely, like, you definitely have to split somewhere on this floor. Maybe you do gear first with blues and then do combat and then spring with whites, actually. That might be the smartest, that might be the play that the good runners TM would have done. Because it's kind of hard when you're looking at it and you're not the one playing to develop a game plan, because I didn't see like the full like orientation of where things were uh, in relation to each other. Okay, this nectaring could have been cleaner. You definitely do not need 4 drops of nectar for those whites. Also, that third flower was relatively close, so I don't think it would have been the worst decision to just grow 15. Ooh, Rixoro did the switch thing, so it has to be intentional. I think he's definitely doing it intentionally, which is really cool. Because nobody else really does that. Where you do this captain switch to get your Pikmin to no longer be on fire. Ooh, he's really close here. Okay, never mind. It worked out. If you're too close, then you can get stunned by Emperor Bullblacks, and then that's not very good. Only 11 whites for Rixoro. He must have lost whites somewhere else. Okay, if I were Maya, I would just wait for that bomb, which is what she's doing. Okay, I would just spam purples at those Dweevils and just start killing them all, because yeah, now it's going to be a problem. Because there's 3 Dweevils there, like that's a bit of an issue. 4 Dweevils, in fact. Yeah, you kind of just have to deal with these Dweevils. It's a little too many to just hope that the Pikmin will out-carry them. Okay, and then this room is like the freest room ever because every enemy was in the other room. So in my opinion, if you go in to get this big bolt and you just like you like spam purples at those dweevils and put all your whites on the bolt and just get it fast out of there, then this is like a super easy SCX6. And pretty fast as well, I would say. The only thing here is that Maya didn't leave a captain where the hole is. So this might end up losing some time. Yeah. Generally, what I like doing is that like when it's split like this, if you go into a room first and it has the hole, then you should just do a quick captain whistle switch before leaving. Because then you'll never have this scenario on this floor where you have all the treasures moving, but you forgot to leave a captain. This is interesting. There's probably the hole in the circle room. And the lid we just saw was past the tower combat. Oh, dismissing here is really scary. I think you should... I would just lure this off the edge immediately instead of ignoring it completely. This is really scary. And she's going in here with all her Pikmin, and there's nothing here. Okay, so the reason that you would know that the hole is there is because the circle room has the most score of any of these three rooms. And the hole is always placed in the highest scoring location before you consider like enemy score being added on. And there's like 0 enemy score on SCX7. It's pretty much just the bombs that would be adding score at all. And if you looked in this tower room, you would see the lid is here. And if you looked in the other room to check for stuff, then you would see that the tape is there, so you would know nothing's in circle room. But even if you didn't look, I think it would be pretty easy to tell that there's nothing in the circle room. Pretty much just based on the fact that the hole has to be in the highest scoring place, and there was a hallway connecting out of that other alcove. Honestly, just throw a blue at that instead of waiting for 5 seconds, in my opinion. This is also going to be a little scary. Also, yeah, especially because of that. And now the whole thing's a mess because the bomb got activated, yeah. So this could have been way cleaner for Maya. So yeah, I think the ideal scenario on this floor is that you want Romeo to walk off the edge and kill itself. So what I probably would have done is, it's hard to say. I think what I would have done is I would have done tape first with blues, and then combat, and then lid. And then you could have your captain that you take with blues over to the tape, knapsack back to spawn, and then you can use that captain to go to the hole after doing the lid. I think that would be the best way of playing that, is you do tape, combat, lid. Looks like Rixoro is doing the old VOR2 route, which is fine, because it's, you know, it's the one that's in Urban's tutorial. I mean, there's a video from Kemi on the new route, on a tutorial for it, but I mean, it's not directly linked in Urban's tutorial, so people probably don't see that right away when they look at his tutorial for how to run payoff that. The Maya in general having a rough SCX. She's gonna take out reds for 12 Pikmin, which I don't really think that's worth it. But it's not the end of the world. I would have just thrown on that leaf purple and then some blues, honestly. You definitely don't want to be throwing Pikmin on the fossil. I think this is losing more time than anything. Yeah, definitely, because she was very particular about it and slowly throwing Pikmin on, and it's like, you just gotta C-stick at that point. Like, even if you get more than you want, like, you just gotta do it. Rixoro, unfortunately, going the wrong way on this SCX-1. Except it might end up being the right way because of where the table is, because he might not have to do any of that combat, which is interesting. He should be C-sticking around and looking at the gauge. Instead, he is going to keep going away from where the table actually is. Unfortunately, that alcove's not real, even though there's like an extra hallway in the way. Dude, you gotta use the gauge, brother, unfortunately. Rixoro, we gotta use our eyes, man. Jeez. You gotta start C-sticking around. There we go. You got some Pikmin digging on it. So it looks like everything is pathing through that side hallway he took, which is interesting. I don't know if the tape is gonna do the same thing if he decides to get the tape. But in my opinion, dude, you don't even get tape on this layout, especially because of lens. But it looks like he's gonna be getting it anyway. It's a pretty easy read on this FC1. At least one treasure is always going to be over here. All three doodlebugs are awake, which a bit unfortunate. Okay, this combat was not handled very well at all. Which, like, I get that, like, you know, three doodlebugs pop up all at the same time and you're like, oh god, what do I do? But, like, you gotta be prepared for doodlebugs on this floor. Like, that's kind of the whole point, is that there's three doodlebugs that you gotta avoid. Okay, if I were Maya, I would just leave a captain here and start running the hole, because the hole is not where these treasures are, and it's gonna be a lot further away. Someone died, still. Yeah, it's like how Moke says to things in Pikmin 1 that you have to be prepared for that to happen, but like, I mean, it is pretty much just like that should never be a problem at this point in Pod. Like, I mean, obviously there can be some troll doodlebug placements, but you should never like have a doodlebug pop out and go like, oh, what do I do? Also, Rixoro is gonna have a lot of problems here, and I would honestly just reset the floor, which is what he's doing. So now, with the benefit of hindsight, he will know exactly where the table is, because he already has played that layout. Or at least he should already know where it is. This is a lot of combat here, and it looks like Maya is going to ignore it and do it after, which is good. On FC2 in particular, I think it's a lot easier to do that kind of stuff. Just like, because it's pretty, like, important for, like, most of the run to be doing combat after the treasures are moving, but here, on the standard RNG on FC2, it's pretty easy to do that because of how big the floor is. The issue, though, is that she has to get back. Also, the enemies might not even be in the way in the first place. Yeah, she's just gonna ignore the big guy. Just deal with the small ones. Good. How did no one die from that boulder? Rixoro was in here with 70 Pikmin. I probably would have brought in reds if I only had 70 Pikmin total. So we're going the wrong way again. I don't know why we're getting this tape. Because when you have lens, you really don't need tape. Especially when it's not very free. I mean, it's relatively close. Like, it's not the worst tape that you could be getting. I just think it's like, if it's not like free, then you shouldn't be getting it at all. Okay, Maya saw the candle was over here, but the thing is that I don't know why we're going over here when you know the candle's over here. Because the candle is not the thing that should be prioritized. It's obviously, you know, the ring. And the bulb bear, considering the bulb bear is not very close at all. Oh, Maya whistled off the purples so that only one would be carrying it, but that she also wouldn't see the Bulbman cutscene. Don't know if I really would have done the same thing, considering that she only has 65 Pikmin, so the Bulbman actually wouldn't have been very detrimental. Okay, at some point here, Rixoro's just gotta say that he isn't getting tape, because this is taking way too long, and you definitely don't need it on a lens run. Maya's also spent a lot of time hanging around here in this one spot, which is, like, you gotta make something happen at some point here. And she has, like, no Pikmin for this electricity. Or the ring. Like, you left all your Pikmin on the ball bearer. That electricity is still going to be a problem then when the ring passed through there. She's going to have to deload it. Yeah, I would say this FC3 could have been done radically differently. Yeah, that's a lot of Pikmin not on the dig. This electricity is going to be a problem. She's going to deal with it now, which I think is incorrect. I think at this point you just have to, like, lean in. But she's going to deal with it. Both of the purples were on it, and now she's going to try and fix it. Okay. One of the purples is still on it. So yeah, I think what would have been way better is that if you see where Candle is off spawn, then you just leave a captain and 4 whites there, and then you take everyone else the other way. Because getting Ring started as soon as possible is crucial. So, like, the thing is that, like, and Maya's probably good enough that she probably already knew that. So then the question is, why did she see Candle and then go there first? You know, like, just one of those things where, like, you're in the heat of the moment probably and completely forget what you should be doing. Rixoro is having a lot of trouble with these Digibucks. Okay, Maya got incredibly bailed. Actually, maybe not. Maybe the purples wouldn't have died, but she literally saw that Bumbling Stitchbug was there and just decided to not move at all or do anything. So if she lost the... if she had to reset because of that, then that would have just been skill issue, Lamau, I guess. One of those moments. Well, that bomb better not blow up Pikmin on the star from through the wall. Okay, it didn't. It's like Rixoro also getting mixed by the hole on this SCX2. Okay, so Rixoro on this SX3 taking a little journey through a useless hallway. So he's doing, in my opinion, the good thing in growing whites here. because he's a little short on whites, to say the least. Looks like he will also be doing spring first. I don't know if 2 purples will be enough. 2 purples and 1 blue. Okay, we're going all the way back in here for the nectar for reasons. Well, because, I mean, the nectar maybe was a good idea. It's just that you're getting nectar for free on the next floor anyway, so it's debatable whether it's a good idea or not. Ooh, close exit for Maya, which is good. Definitely love to see that, especially on a lens run, because most of the time it's not even going to be a decision of do I get statues or not on a lens run, unless you're going for some like maniac skip BLL route or something. Man, Rixoro, I would have just thrown a purple and a few blues on that treasure, maybe. Because it's not like the gear is exactly close on this layout. Also, this guy does not need to be dealt with at all. He can just be deloaded. But we're dealing with him anyway, I suppose. Is the gear even over here? I don't think it is, because the hole's here. Okay, looks like a pretty easy read on this floor for Maya, because the bell is in the opposite alcove on the crescent room. Except I would have had whites for it. I would have swapped some blues for whites off the treasure. Because now this is going to be a bit of a problem with this big old guy here. And she had to get her purples for it, which means she's not getting any bugs. So yeah, that could have been handled pretty differently. There's also no whites on the bell either. So yeah, the bell's last. We got 8188 for Maya, which is completely good on bugs. Like, you basically just need only the big bodies with that amount of bugs. Or she could opt to get, I think it's 7 more bodies and skip the Bullbear's corpse. But yeah, either way, no real big decisions at this point need to happen based on bugs. Okay, Rixoro, I think almost wanted to grow more whites there, but the issue would have been that, you know, he already grew whites on the other 2 flowers and wouldn't have been multitasking that final flower at all, so he just decided to skip it, which I think is a good decision, especially because he grew whites on 3 as well. Okay, so I don't know why we're knapsacking here when this whole position is only faster with a knapsack by like 1 second if you do it perfectly. Also, pausing on SCX5 is pretty useless because you can see the 2 that will indicate whether you need rimwalk or not from where the ship is. So there's like, if you don't see it on the come down, then you can see it like immediately off spawn by just looking. And then if you don't see the hole there, then you know it's not rimwalk and you can just run. Okay, Rixoro once again going a useless way first, which is unfort. Dealing with some enemies that don't matter at all because there's no treasures over here. We're still committing to it. Okay. And it's going to be a problem as well at this point because he went this side hallway and now none of this stuff in the path back is dealt with. So that fire geyser that Maya's leaving alone might be a problem. Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, Rixoro is gonna have some problems with this now because he has to deal with all this stuff from like the inside now, and now this treasure's going the wrong way, and now it's going into the poison because he didn't have a purple ready. That's another little thing that like it seems obvious until you're actually like in a run playing and have to apply it in the situation. But the thing is that like the only game plan that is good at this point is that you want to stun the Dweevils with a purple and get the treasure out, right? And so, what is step one to stunning the Dweevil with a purple is holding a purple to throw at the Dweevil. So Rixoro's mistake is that he went all the way up to where the treasure was, and then was like, okay, how do I actually play this? And then he had to grab a purple in the moment, and he didn't have it ready. So he was sitting there looking like a doofus for a second because he didn't have a purple ready. And then that allowed the Dweevils to just run all over the place and through the poison and the anodes and stuff, and then it was a whole thing. So it's just one of those things of like, good Pikmin 2 play generally is like having the situation in your mind ahead of time and being like, how do I counteract the situation? Because you can't get all the way over there without a purple in your hand, because then that stuff will happen and it's just a mess. Like, good foresight would have been grabbing it on the way over there, or like before you even start moving over there, and if anything. Maya might once again have to reset the floor. Yep. Maya's been having this problem like all run, and it was sort of the same thing, right? Like the same thing that I was talking about with Rixoro, where it's like, what is the first thing I'm going to do in this room? It's going to be, I'm going to flip anodes with purples. And then Maya went all the way into that room and didn't have a purple ready, so she just got completely owned by anodes. And it's like, it's so easy when you're like conceptualizing, like, how do I play this floor? But like, you have to have the game plan ready ahead of time. Like, see, now here she knows. I would also kill the other anode, but okay. She was also having this habit where she's like, I'm just not going to use purples against the anodes. And it's like, why? You should just be using purples against the anodes. Like, there's no reason not to. Also, she left a lot of whites on the can, which is why this is becoming a problem. She's not going to have very many whites left for the shell, unfortunately. Okay, if I were Rixoro in this situation, you got a knapsack under Romeo. And hope that Juliet kills Romeo. I think it would have been better to just lure Romeo off the edge to begin with. But unfortunately, we've committed to this game plan already with Rixoro, so that is not what is going to be happening. So now at this point, you got to do the classic double distract and leave Olimar under Romeo so that you can run in with Louis and deal with the combat. See, now he knows. He's probably listening, I have to imagine. Or else he would have probably committed to doing what he's been doing. Okay, now it's a bit of a problem because Romeo was not distracted at all by Olimar. So yeah. That's a little unfortunate. It's like the thing about that makes that hard is you can't have both Groinks targeting the captain that has all the Pikmin. Because then you're gonna have what happened there at the end to Rixoro, where both of them are shooting you and it's a pain. You can't kill them because you can't stick around long enough to get the kill. So you have to set up your captain, your first, like your solo captain, in such a way that you get the dismiss off, or you get the distract on at least one of them, if not both of the ranks. Alternative strategy number 3 is you lure Romeo all the way in here and just kill it with purples, but it looks like he's not going to be committing to that. See, now Juliet's distracted on Olimar, so now you can get this kill. That could have been really bad, because Rixoro was like, I'm just not going to use purples anymore against Romeo. And the stun wore off, and that could have been pretty bad. Okay, misplacement here on the positioning, so yeah, this is gonna go kind of poorly. Okay, if I were Rixoro, I would probably use the flowers on the next sub-level to grow. Because 56 Pikmin is not ideal. I mean, he has red still, but I mean, that's still only going to be like 70 Pikmin. Maybe. Maybe like 80. Might be a little bit awkward getting this lid. Oh, we forgot there was a Dweevil on these treasures. Yeah, there will always be volatile Dweevils on the treasure alcoves on this floor, so you cannot count on just leaving a treasure alone. There is a deloading tech you can do, but that's pretty complicated, and I don't even really do it either. Okay, it looks like Maya counted her Pokos correctly. Okay, Rixoro is making the same mistake again, because there's nothing in this room. There's the hole here. He is forgetting about the tape. Yeah, now he has to go all the way back for the tape. Because the thing is, like, it's another one of those things where, like, what are we searching for is the question. Like, you have to be searching with a purpose, or else the search is just not doing you any favors. Like, the reason why you would pause there is because there's only one alcove in the circle room on this layout. Because there's the hallway connecting it to spawn, and then there's the, like, meme hallway connecting it to the other side of spawn. Oh, he's leaving without the tape. That might prove to be a problem. But I think he got SCX1 tape, so he might not need this one. Although, I still would have gotten it, at least. Like, it's like, okay, you made a misread, but you should still get it. Also, I probably would have grown reds, just because, like, you don't really need blues anymore, but, like, it doesn't really matter what you grow here. I mean, I think growing Pikmin with these queens is the correct decision, though, because he has, like, no Pikmin, but yeah. Ooh, Maya needs to hurry up and get that lid. Okay, good. There's a blue on there, but I mean, you know, you'd rather not get bread bugged than fuss around trying to get only whites on that. So I'm growing purples too. I mean, I don't know how many purples he has, but if he's growing purples, he probably is low on purples. That one leaf purple is going to drink that whole nectar. So Maya, at this point, has enough bugs to where she can just get the expected anode beetle on 6 and skip the bull bear body, which is good. Because having to worry about the Bulbear body when you're low on purples is not very fun, because you could just not have enough purples left over for Moke throws to be comfortable. That electricity on the other side of this room probably will have to be dealt with. So will these anodes. That's unfortunate. There's not always trap anodes on this floor for whatever reason. There's only sometimes trap anodes. Okay, these guys are going to need to be flipped, like, now. Okay. Treasure's still not moving. Okay, yeah, and she realizes that that electricity is going to be a problem. But the problem is that she left all her Pikmin on that compass, those anodes in the way, and they're not carrying it because it's up against the wall. And it's another one of those things where it's like, yeah, I probably should have been, like... I mean, you can't expect someone to know everything, but, like, when you see a treasure bounce like that off a trap anode, like... Like, at this point, I would expect that Maya knows that trap anodes are a thing on this floor. Also, Pikmin died, and she's getting bread bugged, and that's not good. That clacker might now have to go all the way around. Yeah, that's unfortunate. She didn't take care of any of those anodes on the path back, and now it's a problem because that clacker, the bread bugs dragged it through the area where Pikmin normally don't carry things. So now it has to go all the way around. I mean, the GK3 was mean, but it was also, like, this could have been read a lot better and played a lot differently. Is the thing. I think it was more or less just a lack of situational awareness that put Maya in that situation. In the deeper situation, that is. So Maya pretty much has to feed whites here unless she wants to do the Bulbear combat with like 2 purples. There's also a lot of purples to put on that, because I didn't see if there was Moke throws. She's gonna spend like a million years here trying to do this combat instead of just feeding some whites, which is, in my opinion, like I understand you're low on Pikmin, but you kind of just have to accept it because you don't have any purples. And now you're feeding all the Pikmin that are not whites, and now it's a problem. Yeah, yeah, and it's Moke throws, and she has all her purples on the. She has all 3 of her purples on the Invigorator. And the bodies as well. So Rixoro must not have realized that both the treasures were together on this floor. Because there's no reason to be over here. Oh, that blue is going to cause problems if that's that bread bug's home. Okay, no, it wasn't that bread bug. Because the unfortunate thing is that when you're adding Pikmin to a treasure and it's not moving during that little waiting, you can get bread bugged in that instance if you're like right on top of the bread bug hole. So Rixora is in here with 42 Pikmin, which is not good. Gonna be a little bit of a problem. bomb is also going to be a bit of a problem. It's just one of those things, like, you gotta know that there's going to be bombs in these alcoves. Luckily, it was only one white. This GK5 is going to be a little tricky with only 3 purples for Maya. She cannot afford to lose any of her purples because you pretty much need purples to carry the, when you only have 55 Pikmin total, you pretty much need some purples for the antenna. In fact, I would have gotten it started sooner than the cone because it's going to take so long with this few amount of Pikmin. It's also going to get stopped by these dwarves, yeah. Okay, it looks like Rixoro also did the good thing here, where he left a lot of this combat for after. It's just that he has like such few Pikmin that he kind of... It's better to speed this up almost than it is to go do that combat. They're not going to wake up the big Bulborb, which we saw earlier from Maya. But these dwarves might get kills, because these treasures aren't going to be very fast. Yeah, 1 purple. Okay, GBB is behaving at least for Maya. You do not need to kill this. You could have flipped it and deloaded it and it would have been fine, but it's okay. Okay, yeah, this electricity kind of needs to be dealt with, or not. Or we're just gonna let the ham get bread bugged instead, sure. Okay. It's gonna be a lot of mistakes that are gonna start culminating in time loss for Maya. Yep. This electricity here is still not dealt with, and it will cause problems. GBB is dead, but that's the least of her concerns right now. That was a bit of a sus electric wire C-stick for Rixoro. Good stun. Make sure that this isn't going to be a problem. Oh, he's C-sticking all his Pikmin on there and not getting the ring, dude. That's not what we should be doing, dude. Okay, at least now he's going to get the ring. So Maya is going to be trudging through this run to finish. They're 1 Pikmin away from having the exact same amount of Pikmin, like 20 minutes apart in the run. Rixoro, again, not using the gauge to his advantage. Because it turns out the ring is like right here. There's a spawn point on top of that flower there, which is where the ring is. Or I guess not directly on top of it, but, you know, close enough. Unfortunately, he also needs to go get the candle, and he needs some whites for that, and only has like one right now. So GG's to Maya on that run. Fair few amount of mistakes. But yeah, I mean, she did get through it, and she will be moving on in the bracket. She can also join VC whenever she wants. I don't know if she's listening to the stream or not. Yeah, Rixoro, there's probably another like 25 to 30 minutes left before he gets to the end. He may try and finish it, and if he wants to finish it, then I'll stay here and, you know, hyper analyze the gameplay. It looks like Maya will not be joining for the post-race interview, but that's all good. I don't know what the pause is for, because both of the treasures are viewable on screen right now, but here we are. Oh, he's going to lose a lot of Pikmin over that. He tried to rush that, and it did not work out. 38 Pikmin's not a lot. I would probably reset the floor, or I guess maybe he's just calling it because he's just paused. Yeah. Hello, Rixoro.
Yeah, what up?
Yeah, a little unfortunate.
Yeah, I was hoping to get one completed run, but oh well. No, I felt better with the early half of this one, but then once I kept failing the trick at the end of day 6, I just got frazzled and completely forgot the second half of all the dungeons, and I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing on this floor right now. So I'm throwing it.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, remembering the whole route when you're, you know, still trying to generally improve and learn stuff is really tricky.
Yeah, there was too many rooms where I didn't know how many treasures because I kept mistaking them for other floors, but it is what it is. I did my best. I didn't expect to make it far in this. This is kind of on par of what I thought, which would be losing both matches. Um,
Yeah, it's all
so
good. We appreciate you participating and
yeah,
giving us more races.
yeah. I mean, the door is open now for me to speedrun more stuff. I haven't streamed in a while, so speedrunning stuff is giving me that itch to start doing just more of it live again. But I'll get to Pikmin 2 eventually. I have other speedruns that I think I'd rather be doing than this right now.
Yeah, it'll be hype to see whatever you end up doing in the near future.
Yeah, hopefully this summer I'm gonna do Pikmin 3 Deluxe all fruits IRL juicing percent. So be on the lookout for that.
What, like juicing the fruits that you get while they're
Yeah, I'm
doing
gonna
in the game?
buy like all of the fruits in a really good juicer, and on the end of day cutscenes, I have to juice all of the fruit.
Oh my gosh.
as it's going in. And you know, because the day ends and you drink one of the canisters, I'm gonna drink a canister for each day I do it too. But the problem is, I've found in markets around me all of the fruits except for one. So that's what's
Ooh,
stopping me from doing this run. Once I can find an ume, I'm set.
nice.
All
Okay.
right, well, that's enough of me and Pikmin 2. Thanks for having me. GG is my and yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, definitely GG's. So Maya will be moving on to face Ghostly in round 2. Um, let's see if we have any more races scheduled. So we have 2 races coming up on Sunday. At 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Night Wolf versus Electric Fortune. And at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have Cap versus Kira. Those are in losers and winners, respectively. So definitely show up on Sunday to see some more races. Cap versus Kira will probably be really interesting because Kira has been on the come up recently. But of course, Cap is, the legend and has been running for years now and has been at that top level for a while. So if nothing else, it will definitely be good study material. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll watch it.
that's gonna be it for us. Doesn't look like anybody is live with Pikmin 2 speedrunning to raid, so we will just be heading out here. So thanks to everyone for watching, and hopefully we'll see everybody on Sunday for those races.